She thought she knew the man she married. But one photo, one secret, one night, would change everything she believed about love, revenge, and trust. The wedding night was colder than ice. The city called it a fairy tale wedding. But inside the honeymoon suite, the fairy tale died. Chika waited on the bed, her heart fluttering with nervous joy. She imagined laughter, kisses, promises of forever. Instead, Darlington stood by the window, staring at the moon with his hands in his pockets. "You're my wife now," he said coldly, still facing the glass. "But don't expect my love." The words hit her like a slap. What do you mean?" she stammered. He didn't answer. Didn't look at her, didn't touch her. Only silence. And in that silence one question tore through her chest. Why would a man marry me? If he despises me this much? Outsiders envied her life. The magazines called them the perfect couple. Photos of their mansion, her diamond ring, their smiling faces filled the society pages. Women whispered, "Chika is so lucky." But behind the glossy pictures, her nights were filled with tears. Darlington was gentle in public, his hand warm on hers when cameras flashed. But at home, he was cold as stone. He never hit her. He never raised his voice. But the distance, the silence, the lifeless way he looked at her, it crushed her slowly. She told herself he was stressed, or maybe she wasn't enough. But deep down, the same haunting thought kept returning. Why did he marry me if there's no love in his heart? One stormy night, the truth tried to slip out. Chika walked past the kitchen, drawn by the smell of pepper soup. But what caught her wasn't the food, it was the voices. Two maids whispered in the corner. "Poor madam," one sighed. "She doesn't know." "Shh," the other hissed. "Do you want Olga to hear us?" Chika's footsteps faltered. Her blood turned cold. "Doesn't know what?" She stepped into the room. The women froze, eyes wide with fear. "What don't I know?" Chika demanded. They bowed quickly, stammering excuses, then fled like frightened birds. Chika stood alone in the kitchen, her pulse racing. The thunder outside wasn't as loud as the storm inside her chest. What secret is everyone hiding from me? Days later, while cleaning the study, Chika found it. A faded photograph, hidden beneath piles of old files. Her father, Chief Okoro, stood proudly beside a younger Darlington. But the picture wasn't framed. It was torn, stained with coffee, and stabbed right through the middle with a penknife. Her hands shook as she lifted it. Her husband's face was untouched. Her father's eyes pierced through. The door creaked open behind her. Darlington's shadow fell across the desk. His voice was low, sharp. "What are you doing in here?" Chika spun around, the photo trembling in her grip. "Why do you have this picture of my father?" she whispered. Darlington's jaw tightened. His eyes burned with something between fury and pain. And in that heavy silence she realized the chilling truth. Her marriage wasn't built on love. It was built on something far darker. At first, Chika thought she could fix it. She dressed in his favorite colors, cooked his meals herself, even tried to surprise him with little gifts. But Darlington's coldness only grew sharper. One evening, she entered his office with a tray of food. He didn't look up from his laptop. "I made this myself," she said softly. "I thought." "Leave it," he cut in, his tone like ice. Her lips trembled. Darlington, why are you treating me this way? Finally, he looked at her, his gaze hard, almost cruel. You think this is about you? You're nothing but a responsibility I had to take. The words sliced deeper than any knife. Chika set the tray down with shaking hands, her tears falling silently. She whispered, "Then why did you marry me?" But he gave no answer. Chika couldn't sleep that night. His words rang in her ears. She rose quietly, tiptoeing back into his study. Something drew her to the locked drawer in his desk. She had seen him open it once with a small silver key he wore on a chain. Tonight, the chain hung carelessly over the desk lamp. Her heart pounded as she slid the key into the drawer. It clicked. Inside, she found old documents, letters, and a diary. The handwriting wasn't Darlington's. It was her father's. She flipped through trembling pages, business records, angry notes, and finally, entries that revealed a betrayal too cruel to believe. Her father hadn't just ruined a man's business. He had destroyed Darlington's family. And now she understood. She was paying the price. The next morning, one of the maids, Ngozi, slipped into her room while she dressed. "Madam," she whispered urgently, "you must be careful. Oga's anger. It is not for you. But you are the one suffering it." Chika froze. "Then who is it for?" Ngozi looked around nervously before leaning closer. "For your father." Chika's knees weakened. Tears welled in her eyes. "So it's true," she whispered. "I'm just a weapon in his hands." The maid gripped her shoulders. "But madam, I've seen the way he watches you when you're not looking. There's pain in his eyes, and something else. Something even he doesn't want to admit." That night they attended a gala. The world saw them as the glamorous couple once again. Cameras flashed as Chika smiled through her misery. But as they entered, a rival businessman raised a toast. To Darlington, the man who not only conquered the market, but also the daughter of the man who once destroyed him. The hall gasped. Chika froze. Her blood turned to ice. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Darlington's face remained unreadable. He raised his glass and clinked it casually. But when Chika turned to him, her voice trembling, she asked the question everyone now knew. You married me. For revenge." Darlington met her gaze at last. His voice was steady, but his words crushed her completely. "Yes." After the gala humiliation, Chika's world shattered. For days, she didn't speak to Darlington. But instead of pleading, instead of begging, she changed. She stopped waiting up for him at night. She stopped cooking his meals. She stopped asking questions. Instead, she began dressing beautifully, leaving the house often, sometimes with friends, sometimes alone. Her laughter returned, but not for him. She would walk past him in the mansion, perfume trailing in the air, her smile belonging to anyone but her husband. Darlington tried to ignore it, but something inside him twisted every time he saw her slip into a waiting car in the evening. Darlington told himself he didn't care. After all, Chika was just a pawn in his revenge. So he played his own game. He started staying late at the office, laughing too loudly with his secretary. Sometimes, at midnight, Chika would hear his voice from the balcony, soft, low, intimate, speaking on the phone. One night she caught him lingering on the call, whispering, "Good night, Adeze." Her heart clenched, but she refused to show it. She only smiled faintly and walked past him in silence. That night, Darlington lay awake, restless. Her calmness was worse than anger. Her silence was a prison he couldn't escape. The game between them grew hotter. At a dinner party, Chika laughed freely with another man, a family friend. Her hand touched his arm as she leaned close, her eyes shining. Darlington's jaw tightened, his grip on his glass so hard it nearly shattered. Later that night, he cornered her in their room. "Who was he to you?" he demanded. Chika lifted her chin. "A friend. Why? Does it matter?" His voice dropped low. "You're my wife." Her laughter was sharp, bitter. "Wife? You mean the pawn in your revenge? Since when does a pawn deserve loyalty?" Her words cut deep. For the first time, Darlington's armor cracked. He realized she was no longer the helpless bride he once controlled. Darlington tried to stay strong, to act unaffected. But each night the emptiness grew heavier. He missed her laughter. He missed her warmth. He missed the way she used to look at him, even when he didn't deserve it. One evening, he came home early. He found her in the living room, dressed elegantly, ready to go out. "Where are you going?" he asked, his voice unsteady. She didn't look up from her purse. "Out." "Don't wait for me." Something inside him snapped. He stepped forward, his voice breaking. "Chika, please. Don't go. Stay with me." She froze, stunned by the desperation in his tone. For the first time, Darlington wasn't cold. He wasn't cruel. He was a man unraveling, begging for the very love he once rejected. Darlington began to change. He came home earlier. He lingered near Chika, searching for her attention. He bought her gifts, flowers, jewelry, but she received them with polite indifference. One night he tried to touch her hand at dinner. She pulled away calmly and kept eating. The rejection stung more than a slap. Darlington realized with horror that the tables had turned. The woman he once used was now the one holding his heart in her palm. That night, alone in his study, he whispered into the dark, "How did I lose her, before I even had her?" The breaking point came after another sleepless night. Darlington entered their bedroom and found Chika by the window, gazing at the stars. His voice shook. "I need to tell you the truth." She turned, her expression unreadable. He swallowed hard. "I didn't marry you for love. I married you because of your father. Years ago he betrayed my family. He destroyed my father's business. My mother died in poverty because of him. I wanted him to feel pain. And you were the weapon I chose." His words spilled like poison, but his eyes, wet with tears, told another story. "But somewhere along the line," he whispered, "I fell in love with the very woman I swore to use." Chika's chest tightened with rage. "So everything, my wedding, my marriage, my happiness, it was all a lie." Her tears flowed hot and bitter. "You looked me in the eyes, promised me forever, and it was nothing but a trap." Darlington stepped closer, his voice trembling. "Chika, I never planned to love you. But I do. I love you more than my revenge. More than my pride. Please believe me." She shook her head, her heart torn. "You don't get to destroy me. And then ask for my love." She stormed out, leaving him shattered. 4 days, Chika kept her distance. Her friends urged her to leave him. You deserve better, they said. He'll only hurt you again. But alone in her room, Chika wrestled with her heart. Yes, Darlington had deceived her. Yes, he had broken her trust. But she had also seen his tears, his regret, his transformation. And despite everything, her heart still ached for him. One evening, she returned to the mansion to find him kneeling by the doorway, disheveled, broken. I don't deserve you, he said hoarsely. But if you give me just one chance, I will spend the rest of my life proving my love. Chika's tears fell. Her silence stretched. The choice weighed heavy. To walk away forever, or to risk her heart on the man who first married her for revenge, but now begged for her forgiveness. What would you have done if you were in Chika's shoes? Leave your comment in the comments section. Share and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.